learners, we are in the 6th week of the course and we have been discussing certain cases or certain investment disputes and how they were decided. So for this 29th lecture, we will discuss about TechMed versus Mexico case. In this case was decided in the year 2003. So the investor comes from Spain and the investment was made in Mexico. So the BIT that was involved in this case was Spain Mexico BIT. So the investor TechMed had held 99% of the shares in a company called Citrar, which is established under the laws of Mexico. So basically it was used as investment vehicle. So Citrar had made an investment in Mexico and that was the subject matter of this particular dispute. This dispute was with regard to a landfill. So this landfill was constructed in the year 1988 on a land that belonged to the state government. So the landfill was located in a site called Las Viboros. And this site was in the municipality of Hermosillo and that was located in the state called State of Sonora and that was in Mexico. So the land initially belonged to the state government, landfill was constructed on that and the license was granted to one of the agency of the state government to operate the landfill, but another agency of the state government was operating the landfill. In 1998, when the license was granted to operate the landfill, it was given to it was given for a period of 5 years and that was renewable. So for initially for a period of 5 years, a renewable license was granted. But for some reason, the landfill's ownership was transferred from the state government to one of the decentralized agency of the municipality of Hermosillo. So this particular decentralized agency, CCPIH now took the control of the landfill and also got operating license in its name, but this time the license was granted by INE, the Federal Agency of Ministry of Environment. So INE granted a license to CCPIH to operate the landfill and this license was for a indefinite period. Earlier license was 5 years, but the second license that was granted to CCPIH to operate the landfill was for a indefinite period. But with the order of governor of Sonora, CCPIH was dissolved. Then some of the assets went to the state government, but the landfill was transferred to another decentralized agency of the municipality of Hermosillo. So when the landfill was given to this decentralized agency, Promoterra conducted a public auction and that is how Citrar comes into picture. So Citrar now wants to operate the landfill and submitted a request for operating license to INE. Now this request of Citrar was also supported by the municipality of Hermosillo, who also wrote a letter asking for a change in name in the operating license. So initially on 26th September 1996, a letter was sent to Citrar by INE granting the change in name. But a few days later on 11th November 1996, Citrar receives another letter where the license conditions were changed. Earlier, with the earlier letter, only the change in name was communicated to Citrar, but in the second letter, the terms and conditions, especially with regard to the period of license, it was changed from indefinite period to an annually renewable one. And the second letter also stated that 30 days before the date of expiration, the investor Citrar had to apply for renewal of the permit as well. So this was the condition and initially the license was granted until November 1998 as well. So in that context, Citrar felt that the change in terms of the license condition was discriminatory against it. Now, even with this, Citrar was operating the landfill. So then there were many protest that started happening because with the expansion of settlement near the landfill, so there were a lot of, the nearest settlement was only 8 kilometers away from the landfill. There was one Mexican regulation which stated that landfill should be located at least 25 kilometers away from the settlement, but this particular regulation was enacted after after this landfill came into existence. So, and it did not have a retrospective application clause as well. So that technically did not affect or have any effect on the Las Vabros landfill site. Secondly, there were there was an agreement that was signed by Profepa, which is one of the federal agency, to transport waste from a plant, Alco Pacifica plant that was situated in Baja, California, and the transportation task was given to Citrar. So this transportation of waste was something that did not sit well with the local community people as well. So there were many protests, and some of the association, the Sonara Human Rights Academy, they filed a case against Citrar, criminal complaint against Citrar, stating that they are committing environmental crimes, and also they filed a case against Hermosillo for allowing Citrar to operate the landfill. And there was another association of NGOs against Citrar. They also filed claims before State Commission for Human Rights, and that claim was filed against the municipality as well as the state government. So there were many protests that were happening. So there was community pressure who did not want this landfill to be operated. So eventually, owing to this community pressure, what Citrar did was, Citrar engaged in negotiation with the municipality of Hermosillo, and they arrived at the decision that they will relocate the landfill to some other location. So one agency of Mexico was identified in order to finalize the relocation site, and they have shortlisted 3 sites, and INE, the Federal Agency of Ministry of Environment, the claimant, in this case Citrar, and all of them went and looked at the potential sites, and they had hoping that the one of the site would be finalized. But Citrar stated that it will bear all cost associated with the relocation, provided Citrar is allowed to use existing landfill until the relocation happens. And this was agreed because it is anyway taking the financial burden. So its condition with regard to operating the landfill was also accepted. Meanwhile, with the community pressure started building up with regard to the transportation work that Citrar was doing, Profepa, who was in charge of supervising the transportation task, conducted inspection, and they found some violations by Citrar. First violation, they asked Citrar to adopt remedial measures, and later when the same violation is again repeated, that is, there was some open hazardous packaging material and all of that. So when the second violation happened, then Profepa asked them to undertake remedial measure, as well as it imposed some penalty on Citrar as well. Then the third, when the same violation happened again, it was very strict that it had to comply with these remedial measures, and it can be seen from the facts of the case that Citrar had complied with those remedial measures as well. So there are some violations on the part of Citrar as well that is recorded on the facts of the case. Then we also see that there is when the relocation negotiation was going on, there was one particular cell in the existing landfill, cell number 2, that was sort of exceeding the capacity. So Citrar had filed for expansion of cell number 2 and also for construction of cell number 3 as well. So there was some request, at least with regard to expansion, because it was actually Profepa had found that Citrar is exceeding the limit on cell number 2. So that was sort of recorded by the Mexican officials. So in that case, a request, Citrar is submitting a request for expanding cell number 2, and it gets a reply stating that this particular expansion request would be considered along with the renewal of permit request as well. Then meanwhile, the renewal of permit request was also submitted, and the INE passes a resolution rejecting the application for renewal of permit, and it has mentioned a few grounds for it. We will discuss those grounds when we talk about the claim for expropriation. Certain grounds were mentioned in it. Now, INE refused to renew the license that was granted to Citra. So, in that context, what we understand here is Citra had made an investment, TechMed through Citra had made an investment in a landfill, and there were multiple things that were going on at the same time. One, there was a change in terms of the license, and this is categorized by unilateral change. So, INE on its own has changed the license terms. And secondly, what we see here is there was community pressure against operation of the landfill. Then thirdly, we see that there was relocation commitments or relocation aspects for relocating the operation of the landfill from Las Viburas site to another site that is going on. The fourth thing, Citrar has been making some violations with regard to the operation, and also it has filed an extension request for expanding cell number 2 as well, which was rejected, saying that it will be considered this. So, there are multiple facets to the factual matrix of this particular case. This case is also significant for the jurisdictional issue as well. So, in the next video, we will look at the jurisdictional issue that is associated with this case. It is very interesting because the investment was made before the BIT, the Spain-Mexico BIT came into force. If we see, remember the date I had mentioned for the first letter that Citrar had received 26 September 1996. A second letter was received on 11th November 1996. But the BIT came into force only after 18th December 1996. So, therefore, the jurisdictional issue also becomes very critical to so that TechMed's claim whether it will be entertained or not, right. So, in the next video, we will look at what were the jurisdictional issues associated with the claim of TechMed in this case.